I've carried this secret for years, convincing everyone I was fine while hiding what really happened behind closed doors. Some nights I wonder if I was the victim, or if I became the villain. You decide. Welcome to Reddit Toxic Family Telltales channel. New episode every day. My twin sister and I spent 16 years connected at the liver, 16 years where every breath, every step, every twitch of muscle wasn't mine alone. 16 years where our existence was worth $13,000 a month to our parents. The money started rolling in when we were just toddlers, $8 grand from a university hospital, $5 grand from a rare conditions research foundation, and even side payments from medical journals buying our scans. Mom quit her second job the day the checks started. She kept a spreadsheet, our value updated after every appointment, like she was tracking stock investments instead of her daughters. By the time we hit 10, we'd been cited in 17 medical papers. Vanessa thrived on the attention. She loved being called special. Me? I was memorizing exit signs in every hospital we visited, just in case I ever had a chance to run. Then came Dr. Lauren, the one who finally said the word I'd been waiting for, separation. For the first time in my life, hope didn't feel like a cruel joke. But Vanessa's nails dug into the skin where our ribs fused. "We're not doing it," she hissed, eyes wild. "If you cut me off, I'll die." And my parents, they didn't fight her. My mom smoothed down the renewal forms from another study worth 75 grand and smiled like a politician. "They're not ready for such a traumatic change," she told the doctor. I hadn't even spoken. That night, Dad bolted a lock onto the outside of our basement door. "Just until you stop upsetting your sister," he said. From then on, every time I whispered about surgery, Vanessa would hyperventilate, clawing at her chest like she was suffocating. The researchers loved it, triple pay for stress response data. Her panic attacks became profit. And every sob, every gasping breath, became another line in my parents' budget. By 17, we were celebrities in the medical world. 3 ongoing studies, 6 conferences a year, flown to universities across the country like circus acts. Vanessa glowed on stage, telling crowds, "We're not 2 people. We're 1 person with 2 minds." She squeezed my hand so tight my fingers went numb. I forced a smile until my jaw ached. But in the dark, when the applause faded, her fear surfaced. She would whisper into my ear, "Who will remind me to breathe if we're apart? Who will keep my heart beating?" She'd synchronized herself to me so perfectly that she believed her survival depended on my body. Sometimes I held my breath on purpose just to test her. And every time she noticed. "See?" she gasped. "I need you." But I'd also caught her, once breathing normally, steadily, for hours while she thought I was asleep. She didn't need me. She just didn't want to let me go. We were only 3 months from turning 18, but Mom had already locked us into another 5-year contract, one that only paid if we stayed connected. Dad showed it to me like a warning. Vanessa clung tighter after that, wrapping her arm around our shared rib cage as if sheer force could keep me trapped. One night I begged her to practice being apart. She didn't speak to me for 3 days. Just hummed 4 haunting notes over and over until I nearly lost my mind. The truth? The surgery had a 98% success rate for cases like ours. I had the statistics printed out, hidden under our mattress. Vanessa found them, and ate the pages one by one, staring at me the whole time. Ink stained her lips for days. "Now the lies are gone," she told me, smiling with blue-black teeth. That night she told our parents I was plotting to kill her. The next morning, Mom installed a baby monitor in the basement. "For your safety," she said. But it only activated when Vanessa cried, and she'd mastered crying on command. Huge body-shaking sobs that rattled through both of us. "She wants to cut me away," she'd wail. "She wants to leave me empty." 2 months and 23 days left. That's what I told myself. Unless Vanessa uncovered my secret phone, the one I'd hidden against my hip where she couldn't feel it. Unless she found the emancipation paperwork tucked inside the lining of a stuffed animal she thought was too creepy to touch. Vanessa had started crushing sleeping pills into our food so we'd both be knocked out. But I'd learned how to silently throw up before they hit my system. She never suspected. In her drugged haze she'd whisper, "Together forever." Just like Mom promised. The basement walls filled with her drawings. Always the same, 2 girls with one shadow, hearts tethered by red crayon veins. One girl always smiled. The other had no face. And I already knew which one I'd become. Then the phone buzzed. "Dr. Lauren. Legal team reviewing your case. Keep documenting." I deleted the text instantly, cleared the trash folder, erased every trace. Vanessa had gotten too good at pretending to sleep while watching me. The next morning she put on her best performance yet, clutching our ribs, gasping like she couldn't find her heartbeat. Mom flew downstairs in her robe, coffee mug in hand. Vanessa's tears welled perfectly in her eyes without spilling. She'd practiced that trick in the mirror. "She was pulling away from me all night," she whimpered. "I can feel my organs shutting down." Mom stroked her hair, her wedding ring catching the light. The same ring she'd upgraded after NIH doubled their study payments. "Maybe we should up your anxiety meds, sweetheart," she murmured. Meanwhile, I kept my breathing steady, forcing my rhythm to match Vanessa's so no one noticed. The second Mom left, Vanessa's sobs vanished. She pulled out her brand new phone, a gift from Johns Hopkins researchers, and casually announced, "A documentary crew wants our story. 50 grand for exclusive rights." She forged my name on the contract in seconds. She'd been practicing my signature since we were kids. Then she smirked. "Funny thing. Dr. Lauren called Mom yesterday. Said she'd gotten some strange messages about us. Mom told her we'd switched hospitals. I wonder who would try to contact our doctor behind Mom's back? That'd be really stupid. especially since she still has full legal custody. My stomach dropped, but I didn't flinch. I just kept folding laundry, matching socks that Vanessa had deliberately started buying in identical pairs. Another way to erase where she ended and I began. Another way to remind me, in her mind there was no me. There was only us. That afternoon, the research team from Columbia showed up for their monthly evaluation. And just like that, Vanessa slipped into character, fragile, trembling, leaning against me like I was the only thing keeping her alive. I knew my role too. I was the selfish twin, the one who supposedly didn't understand the sacred bond. It was all theater. The synchronicity is remarkable, Dr. Jackson whispered, watching our vitals flicker across her tablet. Their heart rates align within 2 beats per minute. Right on cue, Vanessa squeezed my hand. 2 short, 1 long, that was our practice signal. Our cue to breathe together. So I obeyed because the cameras were rolling, because every inhale, every exhale was being captured for some future medical journal. We've been practicing meditation, Vanessa told them in her soft, dreamy voice, to prepare for a lifetime of connection. Dr. Jackson scribbled notes while her assistant set up the usual cognitive tests. Same routine, same questions designed to prove that our minds had fused into one. Vanessa had memorized all my answers long ago, parroting them back word for word to sell the illusion of psychic unity. What's your earliest memory? Dr. Jackson asked me. The butterfly room at the museum, I said honestly. Yellow monarchs landing on our shoulders, wings brushing our skin like whispers. Mine too, Vanessa chimed in instantly, her eyes wide with innocence. But I knew her real first memory, the day she broke my favorite doll and blamed it on the cat. We remember everything together, she added sweetly. The researchers exchanged significant looks. I could almost hear the grant proposals writing themselves in their heads. Another miracle of synchronicity to pad their careers. I smiled on cue, but in my head I was picturing the lawyer Dr. Lauren had recommended. The one who specialized in medical autonomy cases. The one who could help me carve a life of my own. That night, Vanessa debuted her new trick. Just as I was drifting off, she'd jerk awake suddenly, gasping like she couldn't breathe. The first time, I panicked. By the 5th, I knew better. It was a performance. A performance for the baby monitor Mom had installed, the one that alerted her phone whenever we moved too much at night. I'm dying, Vanessa whispered loudly, just enough for the microphone. Every time you pull away, I die a little more. But I'd seen her medical charts. The ones she thought she'd hidden. Her organs were fine. In fact, stronger than mine in some ways. The only thing keeping her sick was the thought of losing her paycheck. 2 months and 20 days left. The next morning, Mom hit us with a new horror. We're moving you to a more secure facility, she announced, smiling like it was good news. A private residence, fully staffed, 24-hour monitoring. All funded by the Pediatric Anomaly Institute. She handed us a glossy brochure. A pristine white building. No windows on the ground floor. It's for your own safety, Dad muttered, avoiding my eyes. Vanessa lit up like it was Christmas morning. Will we have a bigger room? Can we decorate it? I was already calculating. The move was 3 weeks away. If I didn't escape before then, I never would. Once we were inside that facility, surrounded by people being paid to keep us together, I'd be trapped forever. That night, while she staged another gasping episode, I reached under our mattress for my phone. My lifeline. My proof. My connection to Dr. Lauren. Empty. My heart stopped. Looking for something? Vanessa whispered, her breath hot against my ear. She slid the phone out from under her pillow, smirking. I had such an interesting chat with Dr. Lauren today. She was worried about you. Thought maybe you'd been distressed. Don't worry, I told her you just get confused sometimes. That you forget we're one person. She waved my phone just out of reach, then hurled it across the room. It shattered against the concrete wall. Mom came running at the sound. Vanessa collapsed into her arms, hyperventilating on cue. She tried to hurt me. Vanessa wailed. She said she didn't care if I died. I opened my mouth to deny it, but Mom was already preparing a syringe. The kind of sedative they use during high-stress evaluations. The kind that left me too foggy to fight back. As the needle pierced my skin, I caught sight of Vanessa's smile. Not the angelic one she wore for cameras. Her real smile. The one that reminded me, we shared blood but we had never shared a heart. 2 months and 19 days. If I made it that long. The sedative dragged me under like heavy water, but I fought to stay awake. Mom's voice drifted in and out, faint through the fog. Yes, Dr. Morrison. Increased aggression. We may need to move up the timeline. Beside me, Vanessa curled close, pretending to be the traumatized sister. Her fingers traced patterns on our shared ribs, spelling silent words against my skin. Stayforever. When the drugs wore off, I woke to find her wrapped around our connection point, guarding it like treasure. Her breathing synced perfectly with mine. Too perfectly. It made my skin crawl. Mom stood at the door, clipboard in hand. The institute wants hourly logs, she said. Every observation was worth $50. Even my unconscious, drugged breathing had monetary value. I tested my limbs, moving carefully. Vanessa stirred immediately, her grip tightening, her performance never ending. The next days blurred into a new level of surveillance. Cameras in every corner. Motion sensors. Cables running along the walls to a central hub upstairs. Vanessa helped set them up, laughing with Dad, making sure not a single inch of our world went unwatched. I stayed quiet, playing the beaten-down sister. But inside I was strategizing. The phone was gone, yes. But the emancipation papers were still hidden in the stuffed animal. And Dr. Lauren knew something was wrong. I just needed another way to reach her. Vanessa escalated her theatrics. During our daily exercises, she'd stumble at exactly the right moment, clutching our connection like she was seconds from collapse. Mom dutifully filmed everything, uploading the footage for new research contracts. Every stagger, every fake gasp, worth a fresh set of data points. I watched closely. The stumbles only happened when the cameras were on. The gasps followed perfect timing. She'd rehearsed the entire thing. 17 days left. My window was closing. Then an opening. During a Stanford evaluation, the assistant left her tablet unlocked. The screen glowed with an open email inbox, tantalizingly close. I could send one message. One cry for help. I glanced at it. Just for a second. Vanessa noticed. Her hand found mine under the table, squeezing so hard I thought she'd break bone. Her nails dug into my palm, a silent warning. Her smile never slipped. That night, her whisper cut through the dark. I saw you looking at that tablet. If you try that again, I'll tell Mom you're planning to hurt yourself. They'll sedate you until the move. Her arms tightened around me like chains. She was getting better at this game. Anticipating me before I even moved. But so was I. I'd learned the art of patience. Of misdirection. Of pretending to lose while planning to win. The next morning brought something none of us expected. Dr. Jackson, the lead from the Colombian research team, returned with a brand new proposal. A documentary. A year-long series following our daily lives. The money? More than enough to cover the down payment on that private facility Mom had been drooling over for months. Vanessa's eyes lit up instantly. Cameras meant an audience. An endless stage. She was already planning which stories to tell, which emotions to perform. Mom? She was practically buzzing as her fingers flew across the calculator app on her phone, tallying up profits before the deal was even signed. But me? I saw a crack in the walls. A documentary meant outsiders. People who weren't on my parents' payroll. If I could get a message through, if I could make one person see the truth, maybe I had a chance. The crew arrived 3 days later, 2 camera operators, a sound tech, and a director named Marcus. He spoke in that gentle, coaxing voice producers use when they're about to exploit you. We just want to capture your authentic experience, he said. Vanessa charmed them immediately, weaving stories from our childhood that were half memory, half theater. They ate it up. But the sound technician, her name was Saba, she was different. She didn't just watch Vanessa's performance. She watched me. She caught the tiny flinches, the way my eyes didn't match her stories. During a break, she lingered near me, fiddling with her equipment. She gave me a look, sharp, questioning. That's when I started my system. Just the tiniest taps of my fingers against my leg in a repeating pattern. Subtle enough to pass for a nervous tick, but deliberate. Saba caught on fast. Her eyes softened with understanding. She started watching closer. Vanessa noticed the crew's shifting dynamic. And like clockwork, she doubled down. She staged episodes mid-filming, clutching our connection, gasping about how she could feel me pulling away. Marcus called for close-ups, praising her vulnerability. But Saba? Her gaze never left mine. One day, when the cameras swung toward Vanessa, I mouthed 2 words as clearly as I could without sound. Help me. The next day, Saba changed her setup. She positioned her mixing board just right, creating a blind spot where the cameras couldn't see us. When Vanessa was distracted, she slipped me a folded scrap of paper. I know something's wrong. What do you need? My hand shook as I hid the note in my palm. This was it, my one chance. But I had to move carefully. Vanessa could smell secrets like a predator. I waited until she was lost in one of her monologues, describing our psychic bond with dramatic flair. Then I wrote back. Contact Dr. Lauren at University Medical Center. Tell her they're moving us in 11 days. Please. I slipped the paper back to Saba during another equipment adjustment. She read it quickly, then gave me the slightest nod. For the first time in weeks, hope sparked in my chest. But Vanessa noticed something. She always did. That night she clung tighter than ever, whispering horror stories of twins who died after surgery. Her fingers traced the outline of our ribs like she was marking territory. Still, Saba kept finding ways to reassure me. Tiny gestures, a brush of her hand near mine. And one night she showed me her phone screen, angled just for me to see. A message from Dr. Lauren, legal injunction filed. Stall the move. Team standing by. I almost cried. All I had to do was buy time. So I stole a page from Vanessa's playbook. That night I staged an episode of my own. I jerked awake, gasping, clutching at our liver like it was tearing apart. I let tears spill, raw and messy, copying her perfected theatrics. Mom came running. I told her I felt sharp pains in our shared organ. Her face drained of color. Any complication threatened our value. By morning she'd scheduled 3 emergency consults. The move was officially on hold. Vanessa's eyes narrowed. She knew exactly what I was doing. But she couldn't stop me without exposing herself. The first doctor found nothing. The second ordered more tests. The third wanted observation. Perfect. Every vague symptom I described bought another day. Moving day came and went, and instead of being shipped off, we were inside an MRI machine. The technician leaned close as she adjusted the coils. I'm with Dr. Lauren. Just one more day. Can you keep this up? I squeezed her hand once. Yes. Vanessa noticed the squeeze. Suspicion burned in her eyes. But the MRI machine thundered to life, swallowing us in noise. Afterward, I escalated. I described new pains, new symptoms. Mom panicked more with each word. Vanessa countered with her own dramatics, hyperventilating, claiming my suffering was killing her too. It became a grotesque competition, who could outperform the other for maximum effect. But the tide had shifted. The very next morning, Dr. Lauren walked in. Not alone this time. She brought lawyers. Ethicists. Armed with a court order. Mom tried to block them, but it was useless. A judge had ruled on an emergency hearing. For the first time, someone had the authority to pull us out of that basement prison. Vanessa snapped. She screamed at Dr. Lauren, accused her of trying to murder us. She thrashed against our connection, claiming she could feel her organs shutting down. But outside of Mom's controlled environment, her theatrics looked exactly like what they were, an act. They separated us for individual evaluations. With Vanessa unable to monitor me, I finally told everything: the financial exploitation, the confinement, the sedatives, the planned transfer to a facility where freedom would be impossible. Vanessa gave her own version, painting me as delusional and dangerous. But the lawyers had already subpoenaed the evidence: contracts, bank records, medical files. The pattern was undeniable. The judge moved quickly. At 16, with clear evidence of exploitation, we had the right to decide for ourselves. Separate advocates would represent each of us. Vanessa's scream ripped through the courtroom. Not one of her practiced wails. A real raw howl of rage. Dr. Lauren's team took custody of us immediately. For the first time in our lives, we were placed in separate rooms. Doctors prepared us for the surgery scheduled 2 weeks out. Vanessa begged, promised, threatened. Anything to keep me bound to her. But my decision was made. The night before surgery, she curled against me like the sister I remembered from before all this, the little girl who used to hum me to sleep. For a heartbeat, I almost believed her fear was real. Then her fingers traced letters across our ribs. A promise. I'll make you pay. I traced my own message back. I know. But I still choose freedom. The next morning, they wheeled us into the OR. Mom and Dad weren't allowed in. For once, this wasn't about money. Vanessa grabbed my hand one last time. For a flicker of a second, I saw her. My sister, not the performer. Then the anesthesia pulled me under. The last sound I heard? 2 heart monitors. Beeping in separate rhythms. I woke up alone. For the first time in 16 years, alone. The scar ached, but it was my pain. My breath, my heartbeat, mine. Dr. Lauren checked on me constantly. She told me the surgery went perfectly. Vanessa was alive, recovering in another wing. The world wanted interviews, documentaries, books. Mom tried to negotiate rights, but she no longer had any claim to my life. I refused every offer. My freedom wasn't for sale. I learned to walk without her weight. Sleep without her arm around me. Live without her breath in my ear. Vanessa thrived in her own way, of course, selling her version of the story to the highest bidder, bathing in the spotlight. She'd always been good at that. But me? 6 months later, I had my first apartment. A quiet studio. 1 bed. 1 chair. 1 heartbeat. On our 18th birthday, a package arrived. No return address, but I knew her handwriting. Inside was a photo from when we were small, before the money, before the lies. 2 little girls with 1 shadow. Smiling. Beneath it, she'd written, "The documentary airs next month." I told them everything. My version. I threw it away. Changed my number. She could keep the cameras. She could keep the spotlight. I had something better: silence. Privacy. A life that finally belonged to me. That night, I stood in front of the mirror, fingers tracing the fading scar where she and I had been one. Proof that some connections are meant to be severed. And sometimes, the greatest act of love is letting go. 2 years later, I walked across the stage at community college. Cap, gown, diploma in hand. For the first time in my life, an accomplishment that belonged only to me. Mom sent a card, probably thinking the statute of limitations on her exploitation meant it was safe to reconnect. I didn't even open it. Sent it straight back. Vanessa, meanwhile, had written a book. A bestseller about the trauma of our separation. Funded, of course, by the same research institutions that once paid to keep us chained together. She did the talk show circuits, sat under bright studio lights, performing her pain for new audiences. I never watched. Not once. Because my life? My life was finally quiet. Boring, even. And that was the point. I worked, studied, made friends who didn't know a thing about my scars or the history behind them. I dated someone who touched my side without demanding the story. Built happiness out of small, private moments that didn't belong to anyone else. Sometimes, late at night, I'd catch myself falling into Vanessa's rhythm, the synchronized breathing drilled into me since childhood. But then I'd change it. Deliberately. Choosing my own pace. That was freedom. Not silence, not absence, but choice. The documentary won awards. Vanessa's book hit the bestseller list. Mom and Dad did speaking engagements, milking sympathy as parents of conjoined twins. Everyone profited off my story but me. And that was exactly how I wanted it. Did Vanessa ever regret it? The lies, the performances, the way she turned our bond into a prison? Sometimes I wondered. But then I'd remember her smile as she shattered my phone, the way her fingers spelled threats across our ribs, the cold calculation behind her love. We were never meant to be one person. Separation hadn't destroyed us. It had finally allowed us both to exist. My scar faded to silver, thin as thread, barely noticeable unless you knew to look. Sometimes I forgot it was there at all. I lived so fully in my own body now, the years of connection felt like somebody else's dream. That was the gift of freedom, not erasing the past, but no longer letting it define you. One independent breath at a time, I built my life. No cameras. No contracts. No one else's heartbeat drowning mine. Just me. I remember the recovery room, how impossibly wide the bed felt after 16 years of sharing one. I kept reaching for Vanessa's warmth and finding only cool hospital sheets. My body tilted to one side, unbalanced without her counterweight. The nurses said it was normal. My muscles would learn. Dr. Lauren checked in that afternoon, gentle hands inspecting the sutures. 8 hours of surgery, she said. The liver divided, both halves regenerating just fine. Vanessa was upstairs recovering. I asked if I could see her. Dr. Lauren hesitated before explaining Vanessa had requested no contact. The team would respect both our wishes. I nodded. 16 years of forced togetherness, and now healing apart. Physical therapy began immediately. A specialist named Maria guided me through basic movements. Standing, balancing, walking without a second body tethered to mine. Each shaky step was a revelation. On the third day, Mom appeared at the observation window. She wasn't allowed inside, but she stood for hours, clutching papers I couldn't read from my bed. Dad joined her, both of them staring like investors watching their stock crash. I rolled onto my side, eyes on the ceiling until they left. A social worker arrived with documents, temporary housing, food assistance, medical coverage. Safety nets I never knew existed because Mom had never told us. For the first time, someone was laying the foundation for my independence. Vanessa's surgeon visited one afternoon. He said she was healing physically, but she kept insisting something was wrong, asking nurses to check my vitals as if her body couldn't function without mine. They showed her proof she was fine. She didn't believe it. I walked hospital corridors daily, building strength. Shared nods with other patients, each of us learning new versions of our bodies. When Marcus, the documentary director, tried to push his way in with his cameraman, the head nurse stopped him cold. Visiting hours are for family, she said. He protested, waving contracts, but she threatened security. He left, leaving behind his card like I'd ever want to call. Therapy expanded. Occupational training, meal prep, showering, basic things, but monumental when you've never done them alone. I learned to brush my teeth without angling around another face, tie shoes without coordinating with another set of legs. Dr. Lauren brought legal documents too, power of attorney, insurance forms, paperwork cutting Mom out of every decision. I signed carefully, my hand shaking, but steady with resolve. No one else would ever sign my name again. 2 weeks later, I moved into transitional housing. 1 bedroom. 1 bathroom. My own kitchenette. I stood in the doorway for what felt like hours, absorbing the silence. That night, the quiet was so heavy I couldn't sleep. I downloaded a white noise app, cycling through sounds until I found ocean waves. A rhythm that was mine. The bookstore job came soon after. The manager said she liked my handwriting, that my application had honesty. Part-time, but it was something. A chance to be just another employee, not a subject in a study. Mom left packages at my door. Photo albums, medical journals, anything she thought might lure me back. I donated them unopened. GED classes followed, then community college. I made one true friend, a classmate named Sarah. We were both rebuilding, both starting over. She never asked about my scars and I never asked about hers. Dad showed up at the bookstore once, pretending to shop. I rang up his book without a word. He left without it. The documentary eventually aired. Coworkers whispered about it, but I didn't watch. Customers occasionally recognized me. Some tried to ask questions. I gave them the same polite smile and redirected them to the store's return policy. My story wasn't for sale anymore. 6 months later, I passed my GED. A year after that, I transferred into a university library science program. I moved into a slightly bigger apartment, still 1 bedroom, but with shelves for books I chose myself. Vanessa released her book, smiling from the cover under the title A Story of Loss and Survival. She had her spotlight. I had my freedom. Mom and Dad downsized. Their empire had collapsed without us. Natural consequences. I didn't lose sleep over it. Dr. Lauren retired, but sent a card every year on the anniversary of the surgery. Simple notes, proud of you. Thinking of you. Proof that at least one adult had believed I deserved better. I dated occasionally. Learned what it meant to choose connection instead of being trapped in it. Eventually, I found someone worth trusting with my history. They touched my scar with gentle curiosity, not ownership. Graduate school accepted me with full funding. I packed lightly, clothes, books, photos of the life I'd built after, nothing from before. The road trip to my new campus took 2 days. I stopped when I wanted. Ate when I wanted. Played music only I liked. Every small choice felt like a declaration. The first night in my new apartment, I sat by the window, breathing my own rhythm. The scar had faded so much I had to search to find it. But I knew it was there, a line marking where my story diverged from hers. Proof that some bonds are meant to be broken. Proof that freedom, real freedom, is worth everything. And for the first time, I opened my laptop, not to tell our story. Not to repeat her version. But to write my own. 1 word at a time. 1 breath at a time. 1 life, finally, completely mine. Thanks for watching. Today's train wreck is over, but tomorrow's ride is already on track. Subscribe so you don't miss it.